I ain't know if I should start.
Yes, I'm ready.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of my podcast, Failing Forward. Today, we are closing out Women's History Month with another phenomenal woman who I would like to call a good friend, kindred spirit, and inspiration to so many people. So, without further ado, Danny, what's good? How are you doing today?
Peace. I'm blessed and highly favored.
That's amazing. So, it's actually been a little while since we connected in person, and it seems like so much has evolved for you since then. And I just want to say first and foremost that I'm so proud of you and that you're doing a really good job out here with everything.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
I'm so appreciative.
So for those of y'all that don't know, Danny and I, we connected while we were students at Temple in undergrad, and she was a huge supporter of things I had going on, and I can say the same for her. I feel like all of the go-getters on Temple's campus in the black community, we all were somehow connected. So
For sure.
I don't know if you remember this story, Danny, but when we first met, I think it was one of our very first conversations. I'm saying like this may have been like our first or second time meeting each other. And we ended up going really deep into the spiritual realm in a conversation that we had. And I believe, I could be making this up. Let me know if I'm making it up. But I feel like we even started to pray for each other and like give each other these like really deep affirmations. And it was weird because I had never had like an interaction with somebody that I didn't know like that before. So do you remember that?
See, when you tell the story, it brings back familiar feelings. Like I'm bringing myself, as you share the story, I'm bringing myself back to how it felt in those moments. And that definitely sounds like an us type of moment, just off the strength that we are both those types of people who are very giving of our divine energy.
Most definitely. I remember I was like, I don't even really know this girl like that. We sitting up here like
praying for each other.
Yeah, sending voice messages back and forth to each other.
I remember that. Yes. That's
that was
so
crazy.
Divine. Yes. So beautiful. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a dope moment. And Danny actually had a talk show during that time period that she still has, and I was so fortunate to be one of her very first guests on her first season, which I'm really grateful for. And it's actually funny, Danny, because when I got home, the reaction from my friends and family was hilarious. I got in trouble for that episode.
What?
I really got in trouble. And I'm going to tell you why. So I come from a family full of women, y'all, and they support everything that I do very intensely, right?
Okay.
So I just remember when I walked in the house, my aunt was like, you and that girl look cute together. She was like, are y'all dating? And I was like, oh, we just really good friends. Like, she like, no, y'all was kikiing a little too much in that video. So, the viewers, I just want to tell y'all out there that me and Danny have only been in the same room, I would say maybe 2 to 3 times.
Truly.
We just very empathic and spiritual folks.
Yes.
So we can really go deep into the conversation. Would you agree with that, Danny?
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful. Yes, and trust me, I got a couple DMs when that episode was released as well. So
we just let y'all know right now.
Clearing the
It's
air.
Chill. We friends.
Okay.
But I want to ask you, with your personality and this path that you're on, would you say that you have strong interactions like that all the time with strangers?
Oh my goodness, all the time. My life is so divine. If I was to really sit down and share with you the stories of my life, it would just be unbelievable. Like people stopping me in the street and being like, yo, I'm drawn to your energy, and then it ends up being like a deep conversation where we see certain alignments, and I say something that they just needed to hear in that moment.
Yeah.
So.
And it's crazy because y'all you can ask the producer, he's in the background, but when she came into this space, this was her very first time here. She came in and owned this space. I don't know what that's called.
Palo Santo.
So she had her Palo Santo going. She got the chakra music in the background.
Thank you, yes.
She took her shoes right off. She
Period.
got comfortable
Okay.
on the couch,
Okay, we grounded in here.
Yeah,
this is home.
I think that really speaks to how you carry yourself as a person and how you really own the spaces that you're in. So because you're such a social person in a lot of ways, and what you're doing is almost prophesying to people about holistic wellness. So I'm interested in how you have such a capacity to take on all of those different energies, but also who are some of the people that you have in your life that play a similar role for you? Because you know what they say, who helps the helper.
Right, and who heals the healer.
Exactly.
Well, first and foremost, as far as who heals the healer, the healer heals the healer, which is what creates the healer to be the healer, right? I had to learn how to heal myself in order to be able to assist others on their healing journey. How I am able to be that person for so many people is keeping the vision of my why and my purpose for existence in the forefront of my consciousness always. That's the driving force. And then on top of that being the driving force, having my own rituals daily that keeps me in Ma'at, that keeps me balanced. So burning the Palo Santo, cleansing the energy, cleansing my own self as the altar, looking at myself as the altar, and keep continuously giving myself offerings, you know, so that my cup is constantly overflowing, and then I choose to only give from the overflow. That's what keeps me balanced. Not choosing to give from my cup, but giving from the overflow. So you see how my cup is full right here. Now, if I had the overflow, everybody in here is sipping. Feel me?
Wow, that was powerful.
Yes, give thanks.
So talk us through some of the stuff that you brought with you today. I want to hear about it.
Okay. So what's in my mason jar right now is some oranges, some ginger. Y'all hear it? Some oranges, some ginger, some apples. Just, you know, to raise the vibration of my body right now. Give me some cleansing. This is the H3O2. A lot of people, you know, talk about how we need to be drinking a whole lot of water and all these things. I mean, this is a whole different conversation in itself, but I went to Panama a couple months ago and it changed my life in many ways. I was studying with a master raw foodist. Completely changed my life. His name is Aris Latham. He has not drank water in over 40 years.
Stop playing.
Okay? This man is the definition of vitality. When you see him, like, exudes just high vibrational energy, like he hovers off the ground when he walks. This is one of my master teachers as well. So this is somebody too who I have looked at on my journey just as a guide. So he has not drank water in over 40 years, and that inspired me because I'm like, yo, how are you still here? Right. He's like, you know, I'm drinking living water. That's the coconut water. That's juicing the plants, the fruits, and the vegetables that are growing from the earth, and the earth is giving you the natural filtration system. The water that's in plastic bottles got a whole lot of, you know, chemicals and things in it. Right. It's essentially processed. Right. So this is what I drink: fresh pressed juices, coconut water, those kinds of things. And it keeps me extremely hydrated.
What are these right here?
So this is an instrument. It is an instrument that tunes you and aligns your frequency. I would say it's definitely a tuning instrument. I believe it's called Tai Chi, something like that. I was blessed with this instrument by a man from Nepal. And when I asked him about the frequency, because when I listened to it, the banging of the two like bells together, which I will play for in a moment. When I heard it, I felt the frequency inside my body. I'm like, yo, what is it about that frequency? He said the frequency is so nourishing that is similar to a mother's breast milk, like a baby receiving breast milk, that type of nourishment, the sound frequency. So I'll give y'all a little demonstration. So you can take a deep breath, so you can fully be present.
Okay. I feel like you just put a spell on me. What you doing in here, Danny?
It's all good vibes.
Oh my God! It's so many things I want to ask you, like just about like your bracelets. Do they have any like special meaning, or your crystals, or your necklace and your bracelets?
Sure. Okay, so what I'm wearing is citrine right here. Citrine is the stone of abundance. Okay. Citrine is also the stone that connects to. Okay, so let's actually run it back a little bit. Okay. We as human beings, we have this physical body, right? But we also have an energetic body, and within the energetic body, there are different energetic centers that are attuned to. Sure. Yes, and those centers are called chakras. Though, and this particular stone is connected to the sacral chakra, which is the creative chakra. Okay. So that is located right at your belly button, and this is your creative center, your center of abundance. For women, that's where your womb is. That's where all life is created. Men, this is your reproductive system. This is your prostate. All of that. All of those organs are placed intentionally right where the sacral chakra is, your creative center. So yes, abundance right here. I got some gold, I got some copper, got some rose quartz, because always with the love.
For sure. I actually bought somebody really close to me some rose quartz
Oh,
because of the meaning of it. But
yes, that's so sweet.
thank you for explaining all of that. So
Yes.
my next question to you is like, did the COVID outbreak bring any sense of panic to you over the past couple years? And what are some things that you did to stay safe and healthy?
Okay, no, it did not bring me any panic. I've been lit the past couple
I
years,
know.
okay? I've been living my best life, okay? Listen, when this pandemic commenced, I was
Wait,
living...
go back, Danny. What you just said?
Okay, we're going to run it back because I need them to be clear about
I ain't
what's
wanna miss
going on.
that. I didn't want to miss that.
Okay, I need y'all to be clear. I need to be clear about what's going on. Okay, so when the pandemic, or other known as the scamdemic, okay, commenced, I was living on an island,
I saw you.
the beautiful island of St. Croix. Feel me? I was running a vegan restaurant at the time and a vegan hotel on this beautiful island. And at the time, when the pandemic had commenced, the hotel was pretty much empty. So I was pretty much at the hotel and the restaurant by myself most of the time.
Yeah.
And it gave me a lot of time and space to be in the garden, to grow my own food, and just to vibe with myself and get to know myself a lot more in that solitude. And I really, really, really was extremely grateful for that time. And I took it exactly as, for what it is. It's time to be with self, to go inside and continue to do the self-healing work.
Now, I didn't have an experience as expensive as that. I'll say that I really deeply struggled in the past couple years. Like, this pandemic threw a wrench in, like, so many things for me. I just was telling Cam outside that, like, I'm just now getting to a place in my life where, like, I'm bouncing back mentally from that, because in this short 2 to 3 year span, like, a lot of us graduated from college.
Right.
Because of the economy, we weren't able to get the jobs that we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my grandmother. My grandmother is like the matriarch of my family.
Mm-hmm.
So us having to like recover from that, sitting in my house, being isolated, just sitting with my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a really dark time period for me to just be so by myself. I tore my ACL. So I'm just going through all of these situations, and I'm really just by myself. But I will say, like, the one beauty that I found in it was, like, for one, I think I grew closer to God. My spiritual practices and regimens really grew. And I went to therapy during that time as well. So I think doing all of those things holistically, I feel a lot better right now, because I'll say in the past 2 years, I focused so much on the mental aspect of things that I forsaked my body. So I put on a lot of weight. So now I'm at a place now where I'm incorporating all of those things into my daily routine. I'm eating better, making wiser food choices. I'm meditating, I'm journaling, praying, and I'm slowly just, it's actually not a slow process. It's actually like, I'm just getting back to, a better me, actually. This feels, I would say this feels the best that I ever felt in my life, just that I'm making so much time and peace for myself, and it doesn't involve other people. Like, I'm doing it all alone, and I'm really enjoying myself. So I could definitely relate to like everything that you was just expressing.
Yes, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
So I kind of jumped around a little bit, Danny, because I was just so excited to get into this conversation. But if you can, tell the listeners about yourself and the journey that you've been on postgraduate from the time I met you. So you could just talk us through like your background and all of the cool stuff that you've been up to over the years, because your journey is the furthest thing from a traditional path. So talk to it.
For sure. So when I, walked across that stage at Temple University, and everybody was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's lit. Where are you going to work, sis?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got this job here and I got this. And everybody's like talking about all these positions and things. And I'm looking at everybody like, yo, I just don't see myself working for anybody at this point in time. I just am not seeing that, and I had all these huge dreams, and some folks was looking at me crazy like, I don't know how you gonna get there, but that's cool, feel me? So So after I walked across that stage and I seen these visions of me traveling the world and cooking for as many people as I can and having this cooking show and doing this and doing that and just like like you said, not following the traditional path. Once I crossed that stage, I ended up going back to school because I became more focused on what it is important to me, and it's that health and wellness piece of me being able to share my gifts through sharing the wisdom that I have accumulated on my journey, and continue to tap into even more wisdom of the healing of plants, food as medicine, us as our own self healers, healing our relationship with food, because that has always been a thing for me. Food and I have always had a very deep relationship since I was a child. So after I graduated college, I went to Cornell and I got certified in plant-based nutrition, which was dope. And then that's when I just started traveling. I just would book flights places and just trust that when I get there, opportunities would find me, baby. Okay, I would just trust.
You like a nomad, Danny.
OD, that's the type of life that I was living for like 4 years out my suitcase. Yeah. Okay. And indeed, opportunities found me everywhere I went. Opportunities continue to find me everywhere I go, and I credit that much to me just following my intuition and choosing to accept the charge of my dreams, accepting that yes, it's coming to me as a vision of my future, and so I'm accepting that, and so I'm going to do something every day that fuels that vision even more, so that the vision can become even more clear until it is my reality. So on this path, I have went to London and I ended up running a restaurant for a short period out there. I was living in Jamaica for a little bit, cooking for thousands of people, truly. Doing a lot of community service work with the children, which is like so impactful for me, healing my inner child and that whole journey, like being able to see myself in the faces of the youth and being able to know that the work that I share and the wisdom that I share with them is literally in real time creating a better world, like how I pour into them.
I hate to stop you right now. I feel like you was really flowing right there.
Okay, it's okay.
So remember where you were. But I think what you just said was so interesting, because in the past 2 years, I came across what is known as epigenetics.
Mm-hmm.
You happen to know what that is?
Yes.
So for our listeners, it's basically like a field of study where it shows that the character traits, personality traits, and even a lot of aspects of our lived experience is not by chance. Like, it goes past the color of your hair, or let's say me having freckles or things of that nature. It's like real qualities. Like, we can inherit the trauma of our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found that to be so crazy, just because for you, I feel like both of us, we get along so well because we're passionate about, I'm not going to just say black, people, but I mean, it is what it is.
Okay, I love my people.
Exactly. We both love our people, and I don't want to box you in and say you're doing it from the food lens only, but I'll say for the sake of the conversation, you're doing it from the lens of food, and I'm doing it more from like the mental health aspect of things. So I just thought that was very interesting, and it's something that I took back to my family. I was like, like, it's a lot of things that we have to fix and like undo. Like, we can't keep
living this way,
eating this way. And it was actually funny, Danny. My little cousin probably gonna be so mad at me for sharing this, but in my journey of enlightenment, like I just told you, I'm trying to eat better. I'm trying to get back in shape and do different things. Holidays and black families, that's a major time. It's a major time. The food is crazy. It's good, but once you start eating better and learn more, you kind of changed. Your definition of good changes.
Has evolved.
Exactly.
Yes, for
so
sure.
I went back home, and of course I'm excited for the baked macaroni and cheese. I'm excited for the turkey wings, and I know all of this stuff is breaking your heart. Then you just bear with me.
I'm listening. It's okay.
The dessert, and I see my little cousins throughout the day. I'm just monitoring their behavior. So they went to the corner store, what we call in Philly the Poppy store. They went to the Poppies. They got some soda, some candy, some chips, cookies, and this is before dinner started. So they eating all of this stuff. Then dinner come out, so they eating multiple plates. The baked mac and cheese, the turkey wings, the yams,
My goodness.
the African food. We got everything. We got a whole spread. Dessert come out. They eating the chocolate cake, the sweet potato pie. And I had a moment where it almost like triggered me. Then this might sound crazy to viewers, but like once you go on that path of enlightenment, it's like once you know better, you really can't go back to knowing less than what you know. So of course I'm like, I'm doing everything in moderation this year. Before I would just eat just to eat. And that's something I told my family. I think a lot of black people, like, we just eat for comfort.
Yes.
Like, we just eat for no reason.
Yes.
Because of the things that we going through, and we don't even realize what it's doing to us. So this year, I'm like, I'm only going to have one plate. I ain't eating all these crazy desserts. And like I said, I'm watching my little cousins. Danny, they are like 13, 14. They my height. And like, I'm not going to put them out there, but, you know, it's just some things that we got to work on as a family.
Yes, indeed.
And I was like, I called my little cousin out. I was like, another piece of cake, and she was like, I realize now that I probably shouldn't have done it in front of my whole family, but it just instincts took over. I was just being protective. I'm like, yo, you should probably like slow down. Like, that's not really good for you. Like, all of these health conditions and things of that nature run in our family. And like,
so here's the thing.
Young,
it doesn't run in your family. The dis-ease and the health conditions and the illnesses don't run in your family. It's the food habits that run in the family.
Right.
That is triggering those dis-eases to arise.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you cleared that up. And I was conveying that point to her, and she got really defensive and she started to cry. So, like, that whole night she was very upset at me for doing that, and I felt really bad. But I pulled her to the side, and I just educated her on the fact. I'm like, yo, like, this is not good for you. Like, I'm telling you this now as somebody that's older. Like, where you headed, like, you could cause some irreversible damage. Like, and I'm like, we've been doing this as a family for far too long. So I'm telling you as a kid, so you can start making some decisions to like change your life. I'm not saying you can't have your cookies or whatever you want to have, because when I'm not here, you're going to do what you want to do. But everything in moderation. And I would feel like I'm doing my family an injustice if I didn't give them the information.
Right.
So that was something that you just made me think about when you were saying everything that you were saying. Another thing is, like, me and my older cousin, who I love so much, he a year older than me, and I always say that he's my role model. Me and him, we talk a lot about black families and just knowing the diseases that plague our families. Like, we don't talk about those things amongst black families. They don't even, a lot of the elders don't even let the kids know what happened before they were born. You know, what are the things that are killing members of our family off? Like, what are the diseases? What are some of the generational curses that we needed to break? And me and him, we just talked to the elders of our family during the holidays. We like, yo, we need to do an audit of all of the health conditions that are, you know, being held against our family, whether it's the hypertension, the heart problems, the asthma. Like, these are things that we need to know and take track of. So, like you said, our actions can help these things subside and not go into the next generation. So, I've been doing my thing, Danny. I've been trying my best. It's just hard, like, trying to bring those newfound ideas and information back to like your loved ones. So,
yes.
what was your journey like navigating that, or was your family like already on the same accord?
So when I was a child, we didn't eat certain things. Like, they didn't really have fast food. They would allow us to have Wendy's only. Sometimes like the healthy fast food, whatever that means, right? Sometimes, but it was mostly home cooked meals, and we didn't eat any other animals. Well, they cut out all animals except for chicken and fish when I was 9, and then that just it was just question marks in my brain, because I'm like, how are we as humans able to decide which animals are worthy of being a pet, like a dog, right? Some people, treat their dogs better than they treat humans, and then other animals are cool to be slaughtered, to be on our plate, to consume for less than 10 minutes. We don't even say grace. Yeah. Like, I don't understand. So I just started asking questions like, how can we choose which animals are worthy of living the best life versus being in a slaughterhouse? And then I started to do more research on just eating animals in general. And then in college, that's when I started to like really think for myself and be like, let me see how I feel. Like, let me try something different, because I've only been eating and living a certain way that my parents have told me and taught me to eat and live. I've only been living and eating a certain way that society has told me and taught me to live. So let me start to think for myself. Let me start to try something different. So that's when I did a 21-day challenge with myself, just eating plants. And after those 21 days,
Felt amazing.
yo, I had real life mental clarity.
Wow.
Like, I didn't know that my mind was clouded before. But if you're living a certain way all your life, you think it's normal until you try something new. And then you realize an entire world opens up for you. So I experienced extreme mental clarity. I experienced true happiness.
Yeah.
That felt like absolute bliss. And I didn't, like, trust me, I've lived I had a beautiful childhood and all these things, but real life bliss, like I felt my vibration being raised through the food and just shifting my relationship with food and, you know, the emotional eating and healing all of that and, you know, working on all of that. So I just lead by example as it relates to my family and all of that. I'm not here to convert everybody to live the type of lifestyle that I live.
Right.
I live my lifestyle and I'm happy and I'm feeling great and blessed. And use the proof is in my experiences. So you get to choose whether or not, because everybody has free will.
Right.
You get to choose whether or not you want the best for yourself. And it's up to you to love yourself enough to make those shifts in your lifestyle as well.
For sure. Something that I held on to for a couple years that someone told me. I want to shout out Sussy, who is a good friend of mine. She's a mindfulness meditation expert, but she told me that your issues lie in your tissues.
Mm-hmm.
She was leading a live meditation session. And I was like, dang,
Life.
that's crazy. Like, so much of our experience, it really is a holistic experience. Like, being aligned mentally, physically, emotionally, being aligned in all of those categories. So,
and like you said about the generational trauma too, the generational trauma that's unhealed is in our DNA. Yep. So when we begin to eat different foods that are actually supportive of and conducive with our body chemistry, and we are healing on an atomic level. We are healing we are reshaping our DNA. Do you know how powerful that is for your bloodline?
That's extremely powerful. You sound like my therapist. He says,
like, what? That is so mind blowing. I love that. Thank you. I like that. But no, it's so mind blowing when you really think about it, because you are what you eat. You become what you ingest, not only on a physical level, what's on your plate, but you're eating your words as well. You're eating the words that people are speaking to you in conversation. So if you're constantly having conversations with people where they're gossiping and all of those things, you're ingesting those lower vibrations as well.
For sure. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love talking to you, Danny, because I feel like you could relate. We could go on a dive. We could dive on the deep end together.
For sure. For sure.
So it seems like you're dibbling and dabbling in so many different arenas these days. When I clicked on your link tree, I saw you were doing music, meditations, live consultations, TV, and so much more. But the crazy thing about all of it is that it all seems so natural and on brand for you. So talk us through your process of building your brand and this whole ecosystem around your natural gifts and talents.
Thank you so much. So the key is to be yourself. The key is to know yourself and be yourself. Know yourself. Get to know yourself. Take that time in solitude. If that solitude hurts, cry it out. Okay? Cry. Release the trauma. And then get to that place of homeostasis and come into your truth. And when you come into your truth, accept it as your truth and carry that with you on your journey. So as it relates to my brand and all of these things and how, you know, the extensions of me, this is me being me in my multidimensionalness, me accepting myself as multidimensional, as I have a voice that needs to be heard, so I'ma sing, feel me? But my hands are blessed, so I'm gonna cook you a bomb meal as well, okay? And I know my voice frequency is healing, so I'm a guide of meditation as well.
I love this.
Yes.
I wish I could clap it up.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge advocate for the belief that your gift will make room for you.
Oh, yes.
I love that. And I feel like you are a walking testimony of that. I feel like I'm a walking testimony of that. Yes. So what piece of advice would you give to someone looking at your path and would like to do something similar or would like to follow an unorthodox path in life?
My advice is to do it. My advice is to really tune into yourself Clear your vibration so that you can receive those intuitive downloads clear. Because a lot of times it's like what's blocking us is the unhealthy gut. So your gut feelings aren't even sharp because your gut is not healthy. So clearing your gut, start eating, the natural foods. Start drinking the higher vibrational liquids like the fresh pressed juices, the coconut water, the spring water, whatever it is that you can get your hands on that's going to be natural so you can come into your natural state. It's a lot of processed people. It's a lot of GMO people walking across this land, okay, who have forgotten their truth, who have forgotten who they are and who they came here to be, because we all came here with a divine purpose attached to our being. So many of us are in a state of just amnesia because we're eating foods that are not really foods at all. They're processed substances. So we become processed. We become GMO. How we gonna know who we are if we are not operating in homeostasis? So come into homeostasis.
This makes me think about something, Danny. I'm a sucker for a good Instagram quote.
Yes, give it to him.
And I think it said, "The lands won't be decolonized until the minds are."
Okay, thank you. Yes,
that's exactly what you're talking about.
Real life,
right. Yeah.
Real life is it's a real life thing, yo. We have to do it. We got to do the work to come back into homeostasis so that we can make choices from a balanced space, from a space of just intuitiveness, because we all are intuitive beings, okay? Especially, melanated people, we are sun people, okay? We got a real deep connection with the stars. We are cosmic beings walking across this earth. So we have to come back into that remembrance. And then when we come into that remembrance and we start to receive those intuitive downloads and those visions of where we are to go, just do it. Don't question it. Know that everything you need, not only is it within you, okay, and you have the opportunity, with that clear vibration to manifest it into your physical reality, because as within, so without, as above, so below. Whatever is going on in your inner world will manifest itself in your outer world. So if your inner world is clear and cleansed, baby, you are a clear channel for manifestation. Anything you want, anything you dream is there for you.
That was a word. And you just took my show. It was different. I mean this in no disrespect to anybody that's ever come on my show.
We love you.
I love all of y'all.
And y'all all have y'all divine gifts that you bring.
Right. Well, what's different though, Danny, is I feel like usually, like, when you are fostering a conversation, you're trying to steer it in a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't even do that with you because I'm trying to think about the direction for the conversation, the time.
Right.
But, like, I have to latch on to every word that you're saying. It's like what you're saying, you're speaking with so much conviction that it's, like, grounding me in the present moment that I can't stop listening for it.
Yeah, thanks. So, I love that. That's how you know we operating in our gifts.
For sure.
It's forcing us into the present moment, forcing us to be here now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And one tip that I have for y'all in terms of, just being more grounded and, focusing on the present, being more mindful, is to find your feet. That's something that I learned a couple years ago, is that whenever you feel moments of, like, anxiousness or confusion, just search for your feet, and that will just ground you literally in the present moment. So if I could give y'all a little tip, but it ain't on Danny level, but that's the best I got.
We received that. Thank you so much for that.
So would you say that any part of what you're doing is scary? And I say that because in our generation of dream chasers and lifestyle curators, we're kind of like creating our own titles and job descriptions on the fly.
Yep.
So do you ever at all think about where your journey is leading you, or are you pretty much just taking it day by day?
Oh my goodness. Fear comes up for me often, and I recognize it as that. I recognize it as false evidence appearing real, and I, accept it as false evidence, and I trust my path. I trust that how I'm being guided is just how I need to live my life at this point, because I feel the most liberated, even though I'm scared, even though fear comes up, even though imposter syndrome, is a thing and comes up in all of these things. I feel like I have no other choice but to follow this path. I don't see any other paths for me.
Sure.
You feel me? Like, this is what I have to do. So I just have to work through the fear. And then I've gotten to this point now in my journey where I, as an alchemist, am able to transmute the energy of fear, because all energy is usable energy. So we take that energy of fear and we transmute it and use it as fuel on the journey that propels me forward. So it's like failing forward, falling forward, all these things. I'm transmuting the fear and using that energy as fuel to propel me forward into my dreams. Yes. Facts.
I see you explain my podcast better than me. Like, come on, bro. Kim, I might as well just take the mic. Why am I even here?
We need you. Thank you for providing this platform for creators to express themselves fully. This is beautiful. Sure. Yes.
So, with everything that you just said, do you feel like going to college was your decision? And do you feel like that experience was a vital step in getting to where you are now?
Well, I feel that college was a part of my path that needed to unfold, because I had some really pivotal moments in college that created me and molded me into who I am today. And I do feel it was my decision. I give thanks for that, because I know that many, young people didn't really have a choice. It's like their parents is like, nah, you got to go to college. Yeah. Or their choice was you can't, so I'm grateful, honored to be able to say, yes, I chose. I'm not going to say that it's for everybody. But for my path, I know I needed that, because I had some pivotal moments. I had my first breakup in college that broke me, but literally put me together. Yeah. I found myself in college at the highest level. I found myself. That's when I went vegan. So many things happened in college that needed to happen in order for my path to unfold the way it has.
Sure. I always tell people, you are never going to experience a 4 to 5 year period like that in your life.
Facts.
And that's not to say that it's not so much greater to come. But that 4 years, it's kind of like you are in this fairy tale world.
Facts.
It's kind of like it protects you from the dangers of the real world. Mm-hmm. So college is it's a great time period for just self-exploration, to learn yourself, experience new things, people, and really just grow as a person. So I want to ask you, what is your favorite part of everything that you do now?
Ooh.
I feel like people talk about what they do, but they don't really get to talk about what they really enjoy about what they do.
Well, I find great pleasure in being of service.
To others.
Yes. I feel like being of service to others is being of service to myself. That's how I approach it, and it's really fulfilling for me. I am really grateful for the part of my journey where I get to learn every day. I get to grow within my experiences and expand my wings every day. Just being of service and growing and learning and remembering.
That's amazing.
Yes.
You want to know my favorite part about podcasting?
What's that?
Talking to people like you.
Yes.
Meeting people like Cam.
Yes.
Just like you said, having a platform for creatives, and the way I look at it is I'm just a vessel for these conversations to happen. And part of my goal is just making some of these topics or industries that may seem taboo.
Right.
I want to make them more accessible to our people. So where I may not be able to answer every question about nutrition, but through my platform, I've given you direction to somebody that has the answers.
Yes.
And you can continue to build your brand and your platform, and just bring more people to you. So
it's an equal energy exchange.
So I guess that's service as well.
Absolutely, it is. Yes.
For sure.
Yes. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yes, for sure.
How do you feel about the notion that healthy food is expensive?
Okay.
And also the overall accessibility of healthy food in low-income areas.
Yes. Okay, so thank you for asking that question. So let's bring it back to college. That was when I went vegan. I was living in Philadelphia, North Philly, which is the hood. Okay,
Trenches.
baby. Okay, you already know the
Right in the
vibes.
middle of the trenches.
Thank you. Okay. So that's where I was when I decided to go vegan completely. And I was on food stamps completely. And I was eating swell. Okay. I was eating swell on food stamps. Whole Foods take food stamps if you don't know. Trader Joe's takes food stamps. So I was spending a little bit less than $50 every 7 days to meal prep, and it takes a lot of preparation and dedication and devotion and love for self to be able to say I'm gonna do what I have to do to make it work for me. You don't have to have 5-star meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can meal prep and make it work for you. Yes. So I was on food stamps and I made it work. And I feel anybody can make it work. Where there is a will, there is a way. Because if you look at the price of a steak, however that costs compared to a can of beans, what's you really talking about?
Right.
Like how is it that expensive? It doesn't have to be. It's just doing your research, doing your due diligence, trying different things and making it work for you.
I think a lot of it comes down to exposure when you talk about
For sure.
accessibility, because for me growing up in Southwest Philly, like Whole Foods was something I never even heard of till college. Like we got exposure to the Poppy store, we got McDonald's, we got Church's Chicken.
That's true.
We got Murray's, we got all of these stores, everything but what's really good for you. So I think a lot of it comes down to not only making those stores accessible, but just the exposure. I feel like a lot of the things that are good for us is like hidden.
That's
You
very
gotta go
true.
through
Intentionally
great
too.
lengths. Yeah, it is. And luckily now they can't hide it no more because
Right.
we got stuff like social media. And we just got all of these different outlets and platforms for people to get the information. So, if there was someone out there that's like on their path and journey to enlightenment, and they're just looking to make like small lifestyle changes before they make the big leap to maybe becoming like vegan or something like that, like what would you suggest?
I would suggest, they like to say meatless Mondays. You can do one day out of this 7-day cycle to say, I'm not going to eat no animal products at all, and I'm going to just eat straight plants this day and try something new every time it's that day to see what really is in alignment with you as far as the balance on your plate. Another thing that you can incorporate is fresh pressed juices instead of getting the packaged juices. You can begin to start juicing yourself because the packaged juices has nothing but artificial sugars and things that's not real sugar. Okay. So we can remove that from our regimen completely, or just remove it from our regimen and just do water. If that's what you can do, you don't even have to have a juicer in order to juice. You can juice with a blender. And I have a video on my YouTube channel that shows you exactly that. So there are ways around it. As far as holistic wellness, some tips, things that you can implement on your daily, day-to-day experience. When you rise up every day with the sun instead of going straight to your phone, I'm sure you've heard this before if you're listening, okay? I'm sure you've heard this, but actually begin to implement this. Instead of going straight to your phone, take a moment to breathe and give thanks. Gratitude itself.
It's a must.
Gratitude raises your vibration. It shapes and molds your experiences every day, because it's like when you're grateful for something, the universe is like, oh, you grateful? Bet. I'm going to give you more of that. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. You are naturally abundant.
Sweetheart. Don't worry about
Yes. So just call in what it is that you desire by being grateful now, and that right there will improve your mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional health. Yes.
Danny, you dropping so many
Gems.
gems.
I hope y'all picking this up, because y'all could really change y'all whole life right
For
now.
sure.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, Danny, like, is there like a religious or spiritual ideology that you subscribe to? And what comes to mind instantly is like Rastafarianism. So what would you say is like, your type of spiritual practice, or is it an ideology that you subscribe to?
Okay, so I would say Rasta, as far as the livity, it feels very familiar for me in my spirit. And then you also spoke about, other teachers and things on my journey who I look to as you know, for guidance as a healer, I would say Queen Afua would be another one of my master teachers. She's also my spiritual mother too. I went through her whole rites of passage program called Sacred Woman. So I am a sacred
Say
woman.
that name again.
Queen Afua.
I just wanted to augment it.
Thank
for the
you.
people. Yeah.
Shout out to the
Say
queen.
that's so crazy. I feel like I could show you my laptop. You could literally read my next
Alignments.
question, Danny. But what I was saying was,
Ooh.
you literally started to answer my next question, where I was thinking of like just revolutionary figureheads that you remind me of.
Yes.
And the people that came to mind was like Bob Marley,
Give
Dr.
thanks.
Sebi, Dick Gregory, Marcus Garvey. But I couldn't think of any women who like were in that same vein of that. So the fact that you just like kind of like spoke it out before I got the chance to say that was
Ooh.
crazy.
That's divine. That's
So,
divine.
If there's any more people that you want to, shout out and introduce people to,
Yes.
who would they be?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Queen of Fool. And, as far as like the whole, spiritual ideology that I subscribe to, Rasta feels very familiar in my spirit. Yes. And then also the Kemetic teachings feel very familiar in my spirit as well. And Queen of Fool definitely awakened that wisdom within my cells of just that remembrance of who I am, going dating back centuries and centuries and centuries ago of those ancestors in Kemet. So as far as any master teachers that I feel I align with at this time, yeah, Queen of Four for sure. Erica Badu, I just, she
Love
just
her.
like how we got her, that says she's a sacred woman as well. Anyone else that I can think of that I feel like myself. It's a really divine feeling. Like
That's
I
a bar.
I feel like what? I love me. I love who I am. I love my uniqueness. My journey, my path is like no one I've ever met in my entire experience.
Talk
Like,
about it.
I can't even like say like, I really like remind myself of someone else, but more like they have been, a light for me on my path of divinity, my unique path.
No, Danny, I
Yes.
think it's so beautiful that you said that because I watched Kanye's Genius documentary on Netflix.
Facts.
And there was a scene where he was talking to one of his colleagues and he said that he was a genius. And the guy was like, "You ain't a genius. Like, why you can't?"
How you
call
gonna tell
yourself
him he's
genius?"
not a genius?
And I had a conversation with somebody about that in real life where I think very highly of myself. I don't think I ever came across somebody with an energy like mine. So I always
Facts.
cite myself in my answer too.
Thank you.
But it's like when you're content and comfortable with yourself, sometimes that make people around you uncomfortable
Because
I
they
just
are
don't
not
get it vibe.
comfortable with themselves. It's
Yeah.
projection.
Yeah.
That's what they have to heal within, because you are reflecting that light that's
All of those
within them.
insecurities.
That light within them that they're not really seeing at this time
Yeah.
because of the insecurities. Yes.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's deep.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
before we close this whole thing out, I got one last question for you before I get
Sure.
into my natural closing questions. But in all of your travels and your experiences all across the world, what would you say were some of your biggest observations and takeaways?
That food is a universal language. Love is a universal language. And you get to create your reality everywhere you go by choosing the type of vibration that you carry. If you're going to walk around thinking that everybody's against you, I promise you're going to meet situations where they don't like black people or whatever it is. You're going to be placed in those situations because you're operating in that vibration. But if you truly are in a space of absolute love for self, and you are walking around like, everything is going for like as planned, as in the divine plan, in divine order, and I love my path, and I'm so present, and like you're going to attract those experiences that match that vibration.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. I watched an interview from Daniel Kaluuya. He was on the Breakfast Club, and they were asking him about his role where he played Chairman Fred Hampton. And, what's the name of the movie? I forget what it's called, but the Black Panther movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just asking him about some of his self-love and self-care practices. And he was saying that, like, any of, like, the changes and the shifts that he's made in his life, he did it as an act of self-love. Like, it didn't feel foreign or it didn't feel forced because he just was loving himself. And this is what it looks like to the world. This is the demonstration of it. So eating better, whether that's going to the gym, getting therapy, or whatever it is that you choose to do to like heal yourself. The takeaway from it is that it's an act of just
Self-love,
love, and
yes.
love reverberates. Like if you change your world, you could change the outside world. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Everybody in my auric field, when they enter my auric field, they gonna feel that love.
Yeah, we feel it. The whole
Yes.
room, we feel your energy.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I close out all of my episodes the same way, and I ask my guests, how do you personally define failure?
How do I define failure as a stepping stone for success? Yes.
Just like that.
Period. Ashe. Okay.
For
Give
sure.
thanks. That's it. Ashe.
So I'm really grateful for this interview, Danny. This was like really good. This is one of the best ones.
Yes.
I had a thought when I was sitting at home, and I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna keep topping these guests. Like I've been really blessed to get some amazing people on my first.
It's gonna
my
keep getting
podcast.
better.
I hope so.
Yeah, because
Thank you for that.
you're connected with people who also have networks.
Yeah.
And you also attract who and what you are. So you always gonna have dope guests. So
I
keep
appreciate
listening,
that.
y'all.
I appreciate that, Danny.
Yes.
So shout out all your stuff so people can follow you and get to know you.
Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram. Let's talk food, but let's dot talk food. Let's dot talk food. So it's a period between let's and talk. That's my only page. My website is letstalkfood.org. And by the time this episode airs, I would have launched my elevated seasoning and spice line, which is going to take your taste buds to a whole different level when it comes to food. So I'm so excited. So that's letstalkfood.org. And yeah, keep up with the journey. It's going to keep getting better.
Make sure y'all go and support Danny and everything that she's doing. This was the perfect way to close out Women's History Month for me.
Ashe.
So I'm grateful once again, Danny. I wish you the best of luck in all of your endeavors. I know you don't need luck because you blessed by the divine forces of the world. You got me talking like you. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and say Grand Rise. But no, y'all. Thank y'all for listening to another episode. Your boy Tay signing out.